been as far as that. I travel a lot, and this piece is something that happened about 10 years ago when I took a trip to Spain with one of my daughters. On the library notes, too. I can use it. Are we good here?
Yeah.
Okay. It was a quiet revelation, really. My physical response to the small arrow-shaped sign that flashed white by the train window went unnoticed by the other passengers on the return trip from Segovia to Madrid, including my daughter Rocio, dozing on the seat beside me. Segovia wasn't our original destination. I wanted to take the AVE, the rapid bullet train, to the faraway southern city of Seville. But with no seats available, we needed a closer destination. How about Segovia, Mom? The Roman Aqueduct, the Alcazar? Leaning back in my seat on the slower regional train, I slipped a slim volume from my bag. The poetry anthologies I collected 30 years earlier as a Spanish major had long since disappeared. Now in Spain for the first time, I replaced a few. I opened this one to Garcia Lorca, allowing the familiar words to reawaken the romantic soul of the student I'd been. The next poet, Antonio Machado, was new to me. His long series of short verses, Campos de Soria, dropped me into long ago daily life in an impoverished area of rural Spain. The poignant image of a farmer and his wife tilling the field, their tiny babe swinging in a willow basket between the yoke of oxen, captivated me. I felt that need to get work done while tending to a child. When the train pulled out of the urban metro tunnels and into the countryside, I was drawn by the view. It had rained all week in Madrid, but here the winter sun shone bravely on huddled villages and fallow fields. As we drew closer to Segovia, the landscape became a collage of gray soil, dusty villages, and silver hills, much like the fields of Soria in Machado's poems, wherever they might be. After finding our cozy room in our boutique hotel, Rocio and I wandered the narrow streets at will. We discovered a small art museum tucked away in a hidden plaza, and were thrilled to find a private collection of early Picasso paintings. Later, we indulged in flaky pastries from a nearby bakery as we strolled around the Plaza Mayor, electing to skip the interior of the famous cathedral. We wandered arm in arm along more twisty cobbled streets until suddenly, around a corner, the 2,000-year-old Roman aqueduct rose 100 feet into the sky, stretching over the city as far as we could see. The snow began at breakfast the next morning. Lovely, wet, lazy flakes floated down on the ancient walled city, turning us into ghosts as we walked. As the only visitors in the historic citadel known as the Alcazar, we dawdled, snapping photos and trying to imagine living in such splendor. At the last minute, I decided not to mention the tiny house museum of Antonio Machado that I had read about in the city guide the night before. It didn't look interesting enough to rush this, our final morning together. The snow had turned to a cold and dreary drizzle by the time we boarded the return train for Madrid. Once settled, I opened the guidebook that had lain inside my bag since our serendipitous decision to pick Segovia over Seville. After only a few lines, I came to the words. The poet Antonio Machado did most of his writing in Segovia and nearby Soria. The air went out of me with a deep sigh. The tiny museum I'd elected to skip could have been a place of discovery. I might have spent time with the poet's spirit and opened my soul to his inspiration. It's the traveler's regret, I reflected, the roads not taken, the sights not seen. But as travelers, we made those choices. Antonio Machado was dead, and my beautiful, talented daughter was alive and with me. And the mysterious fields of Soria, wherever they might be, would still be there if I ever chose to return. I lifted my gaze to the train window just in time to see the small arrow-shaped sign flash past. Soria. In my lap, the anthology lay open, my finger marking a random verse. Oh, si conmigo vais campos de Soria, me habéis llegado al alma, o acaso estabais en el fondo de ella. Oh yes, you go with me, fields of Soria, you have reached my soul, or were you perhaps always